We're going to study second expression of Libra.
Okay.
Today, reflection. You have your moon at the 10th degree of Libra, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And that's all we have today. And no other Libra. Oh, Sabine.
I've got my
Oh, your moon.
I've got my moon on at 6, yeah, well, 5:44, so 6, yeah.
Yeah.
And as well, well, yeah, we saw that last time. No, sorry, I was going to say Uranus, but it's
Uranus, yeah.
So yes, so Libra 6 moon.
Okay, so we start with Libra 6, your moon. The ideals of a man abundantly crystallized. We tend to get what we imagine, so we do not imagine what we do not want. Power of visualization, for better or worse. Our values are simply escapist constructs, mind games, unless we live them out. So a few different ideas there. You've studied this before, I think, Sabine, haven't you?
We've seen, I think last week we saw the first bunch, yeah? The first 5 degrees.
You did, but you haven't been online to see this one, perhaps?
No, I'm sorry. I'm a bad student.
Well, here it is. The ideals of a man abundantly crystallized. The power of visualization. Is that something you do?
That's something I noticed that for material things, if I'm really thinking like, oh, it would be nice to get this thing or this other, it does, and I really see it clear in my mind. So like a stupid thing like a shelf or whatever, I'm going to find it one way or another. I'm a bit visualization is something that I'm a bit afraid is a bit strong, but I'm a bit cautious because as it's written here, for better or for worse. So you've got to be careful with what you visualize. So I'm very cautious with it.
Well, that's exactly the point, isn't it? You're unusual in saying that. Most people see it the other way around, that you can dream for what you want, it doesn't work anyway. It is what they believe, and you're saying, well, I have to be very careful what I imagine because it really works.
Yes.
That's exactly the point of this degree, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we start the batch of 5 with this affirmation of the the reflection between the inner and the outer. So when we consider the word reflection, it's interestingly ambiguous in the English language because it means that which you see in a mirror, and also that which you think about when you don't speak to another person. Now, they're not really on the same thing on the surface, but if you look beneath the surface, then they are really. What we imagine and turn our thoughts inwardly to see, that becomes reflected in our life situations. That's the whole point of visualization, isn't it? That's what it is. It's a reflection of the inner out there. Yeah. And then the out there is reflected in here as we do our contemplations and meditations. We reflect the other way around. Okay. There is this other point that unless we make something real in the physical world, then it's a kind of escapism. We're just living in a fantasy realm. I think a lot of people do that. They dream about what their life might be like, and they take no steps towards it. And they even fail to grasp opportunity where they don't have to work. A lot of people are like that. And that's a form of escapism. That's just not living. Okay, so Libra 7, we come to a woman feeding chickens, protecting them from hawks. Every light initiative is met by some form of shadow, guarding against attack, taking responsibility for whatever is within our care. It is intelligent to protect ourselves from dangers that inevitably surround us. So can we relate this one to number 6? Can we see a relationship between them?
Yeah, based on what you've just said in relation to this reflection, it's important that we're aware of what we're reflecting, or what we're visualizing, just in relation to a cause of, you could say, our own safety, of not misleading ourselves, you could say, of just having. Seeing.
Yeah. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Is made really obvious here. And also the wisdom of guarding against something which is not yet present. It's really guarding against the risk of attack as much as the attack itself. She's protecting them from hawks, you know, by her being there. The hawks aren't going to come down and attack the chickens when she's there. She's not fighting them off. She's just feeding them, protecting them from hawks by her presence. So it's just being aware that you're giving off a vibe by what you're holding in your intention. You know, you've noticed when you're in a bad mood, you attract all sorts of troubles that day. And when you're in a great mood, everything, the green light comes on every time you go in, and you know, you don't get stopped at traffic, everything goes your way, you know. So that's the kind of relationship between the inner condition of self and the outer circumstances that reflect that. We are vulnerable, and we base our life strategies around that. We're vulnerable to hunger and cold, so we get caught up in wage slavery at some point. You know, that's how it operates, because we get caught up in doing work that we don't want to do. There's a police force because there are bad guys, and then we just accept that that's a necessary part of life. But I don't know, I bet there are cultures somewhere aplenty where that's not true. They don't have a police force in all the native villages, do they? You know, so we're taking some things for granted, like the need to protect ourselves from harm, but that's probably because we're not visualizing it on a light enough level.
Mm-hmm.
For example,
yeah, I think it's also interesting that that they are chickens. They're sort of, you could say, simple beings, and they're easy to look after. But it's sort of like a daily activity with chickens, of sort of like taking care for them, of themselves. And this, what you're sort of alluding to, is sort of like this protection of ourselves, to do it with a naturalness, you know, of not sort of having just like, oh, once in a blue moon, I'm going to do it. You know, it's something that is sort of like as a constant practice of just protecting, not sort of being afraid in your protection, but just taking care in your protection.
Yeah, sure. There's no hint of fear here. She's just doing what's necessary to cope with life. All right, moving on to Libra 8. A blazing fireplace in a deserted home. Though we fall, we may be reassured that there is always someone to care for us. Guaranteed support. The expectation of assistance from guardian angels, whether they are people or spirits. We lose whatever we do not secure against loss. So a blazing fireplace in a deserted home. Nobody home, but the fire is going wonderfully well.
It's our inner fire, no? That is always there, always present, even if we forget or we are deep into sorrow or difficulties, no? I don't know. We are the home, and sometimes our problems drives us outside, whereas we should stay focused.
That's good. Yeah. It's a more subtle understanding. I think in the first level, though, if you go out and you build the fire up, there's a reason why you've done that. Partly because you want to come back to a nice warm house. Partly, it's like leaving the light on. It discourages visitors, unwelcome visitors. So what about this idea of expecting assistance from guardian angels? Have we been so assisted?
Me, definitely. In difficult situation where we see, when you think it's going to be never ending and it's really, really difficult, there's always a way out or someone who helps you, or it's quite amazing. The expectation, maybe I misunderstand it, but the expectation of assistance, I'm not too. Should we expect? I mean, is it not a bit not lazy, but expecting? So to me, like I'm tempted to understand it like, oh well, whatever you do anyway, you're going to get out of it because you've got a guardian angel looking after you. So the expectation, I'm not. I guess maybe I don't understand it properly.
But maybe your guardian angels have got this requirement that you've done your best already before they'll help you. You know, maybe that's your guardian angel, the one you want. I want one that comes immediately. I can't cope.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary that you do work in order to feel worthy, although that's a very common belief. And it may well be stabilized in wisdom, but I think as long as you feel worthy, you're going to get the helpers, whether it's spirit guides, power animals, or your higher self.
Don't you think, James, that it has to do with that Greek idea of destiny as well? Like you have all these, or not
destiny,
really?
that's a very interesting question. Destiny. I affirm free will, and that I have throughout eternity, in every moment, the right of choice. However, I may not have the power of choice. So if in previous choices I've put myself on a track, that track is my destiny.
Yeah.
Until such time as I find the power to pull myself out of the rut, the cart track of my destiny. That's the way I would see that question. Is that different from you guys?
I remember she was the woman who like started me on this track as well many years ago. She was an astrologer. I loved her very much. and when she was trying to explain me how she saw destiny and predetermination or whatever and free will, she had this image which stayed with me, and it was like, look, astrology for me, or destiny in that sense, is like you see through the window and you see like the sky is completely gray. You know it's going to rain. Even some raindrops might be falling already, no? It's going to rain. And you have to go out. So you decide if you take an umbrella or you get soaked, or you take your car or ask for a taxi, or you decide to stay home and set the fire on, no? That's your free will, but it's going to rain, no? So I kind of like that image as well, no? Well, it talks a bit like about it.
That's okay. I prefer making it rain or making it sunny, personally. You know, I don't think it's beyond our
Absolutely.
capacity to change the weather. I don't think very many people can do it or do it, but I think that's what free will means. You make it all up. You don't have to suffer anything, but we choose to, because that's where we are. That which is given free will is not the self-conscious part of ego. It is also the soul's awareness. It is also the unconscious part of us. That unified triplicity of aspects of consciousness, that's what has the free will. So I don't think it's easily graspable. You need to be very aware of the unconscious processes that you're subject to.
Yeah, absolutely. But that awareness is the thing, no? Being aware of
Entirely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would say that certain very elevated masters could just change the weather. Wouldn't you? You know, doesn't seem too much to ask. But I don't think there are very many of those alive. All right.
I have something to say
Good.
about the blazing fireplace. When I read this one, the card that came in for me in the tarot is the Hermit, and how I saw that is because the spiritual attunement of that card. He who lives a trail of blazing light for humanity to follow, really resonated with me, with that blazing fireplace home, and yeah, so it's really about that creative resource that is flowing through the hermit, whether the person or the he or the she who lives a trail of blazing light. So I associated with that for some reason. Yeah, very interesting.
The Hermit, does that have to do with guardian angels and that kind of support? Yeah.
Yeah.
It is an angel, no? I've read that somewhere, that because in the tarot are like 4 angels, and he's the one who's hiding his wings with the cloak.
Yeah.
The Hermit, no? So he's like the 4th angel. There are others who, well, you can see in the, I don't know, where are they? In the Lovers and in some other cards, no? There are actual angels, but this one is like an angel in disguise, no?
It's interesting. I'd like to know which were the other angels. You're right with the Lovers, I think. I don't suppose you're including the devil. He's got wings.
Yeah, well, and the fallen angel.
Fallen angel. Yeah. But
the Judgment, I believe, as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll make that. I've got non-traditional deck. I use a Sufi deck.
Wow, beautiful. And but it's got the same arcanes and everything, or
It's a proper tarot deck, and it is related to, so the major arcanum is described within imagery from the poetry of Rumi.
Wow, beautiful.
It's lovely, and the guy who's done the narrative book was really there. I mean, he really understood what he was talking about, and he knew his Sufism, and he knew the tarot, and it was really beautiful. So I only use it maybe 2 or 3 times a year, and it's always just very good. Here's the story. Have you heard the tale that you shouldn't really practice tarot until you're given your first deck? You heard that story? It comes, So I'd been practicing tarot for a long time with a deck that I'd purchased, but never really got into it in a big way. And then I was given this deck of cards and booklet in the Russian language. So the cards were workable, but the book, I couldn't read the book. And it was the same, it was a Sufi book. This is the Rumi book that I'm talking about. And that week I met an English-speaking, a Lithuanian woman who spoke both English and Russian. And she had the same deck in Russian. So in English. So she gave me the English one and took the Russian one, you know.
Beautiful.
Wow, that's
a great story. Yeah.
It would be very stubborn for me to refuse then, wouldn't it, to take up tarot, you know. All right. Let's move on. Libra 9, 3 old masters hanging in an art gallery. I wonder, Sabine, have you heard that phrase, the old masters? Do you know what that is? Is it
tell me, please.
So it's what English people call old art. If you go back 200 or 300 years and a real master painted a work of art, then the work of art would be called an old master.
Oh, okay. No, didn't know. Okay.
It's a bit strange. It's an expression. So we've got 3 old masters hanging in an art gallery, and the description: chain of transmission. Knowledge is passed down, keeping alive an evolving tradition. Art teaches and expresses finesse. Old art preserves and glorifies it. So we're studying the 4th degree now in our expression, reflection. In the first case, visualization. In the second case, some kind of protection against the inevitability of attack. In the third case, guardian angels, a guarantee of support, the blazing fire within that never dies, the soul's eternal fire, perhaps. That's a reconciliation of the first 2, maybe. You know, we have this power to reflect out there that which is within us, that includes something imperfect, so we're going to be attacked for that. That brings us to the second one. So what we do in the third one is we leave the blazing fireplace there to discourage unwelcome visitors, to make us feel safe. Now the fourth one tends to be technique, methodology, and we're talking about finesse, transmission through the ages of some special ability. I mean, these artists could make canvas and paint touch our feelings. You know, they could translate things into feelings. That takes a finesse, doesn't it? And we're talking here about the methodology of this expression of reflection. So how do we reflect? How do we reflect out there, that is within, which is within here, that which is out there, how do we reflect upon that inside? That's the thing that we're discussing. And the technology associated with that is finesse. Carrying on the old mastery of the old masters. They knew how to do it, and we're learning from them. We honor them. Chain of transmission. And here we come to Loic's moon, Libra 10. The canoe approaches safety through dangerous waters. Poise and calm reflection. Quiet time enables assimilation, appreciation, and realization of what occurred. Humanity has a genius for coping and finding ways to succeed. So does this describe you? Are you a man of poise and calm reflection?
Yeah.
Lovely.
Definitely. You know, when I read this, I had to look at the degree before, so the one that we just look into, Libra 9, and I also looked at the one after Libra 11, because it feels like the 10 is why I'm able to cultivate poise and calmness. It's based on that high transmission, or that high knowledge transmitted through me, that has evolved tradition, like you said. So it has evolved traditions and has universal worth within the collective reality. And knowing that I can actually cultivate poise and calm because I trust and I have faith in what is coming in. So to deal with the ebbs and the ebbs and flow, or the rapids of life, the bigger challenges of life, it's by cultivating that faith and that creative resources, that creative resourcefulness that comes through me, and that is a value for others. And actually, this is what I use in my work to deal with high situation problems, or solve problems within the company, is by having this calm and poise reflection, and able to deal with the chaos that can come in a corporation.
So can we trace a line of 5 lessons here representing reflection? I think this batch is really quite something. I was studying it earlier. The whole business of visualization and being careful with that, I think it's brilliant. I mean, there isn't much more going on in life than imagining what you're getting, let alone what you're going to get. That's what we do. And here it is, you know, be careful, it works. And then secondly, you know, you're not safe. The world is a dangerous place. So you need to make routine the idea of protection, not only of yourself, but what is within your care. And knowing that we can be assisted by a higher self or a guardian angel is a part of that. Knowing that we've been on this path for a very, very long time, culturally speaking, and they've developed this kind of ability over the centuries of knowing how to live and to do things well, the art of finesse. And there's no reason why we shouldn't be calm, you know, despite all the ups and downs and the dangers. We can be calm about it. And in fact, being calm about it is what makes it work, really. You know, if you think about all of this, If we were upset in the beginning, we'd visualize bad things. If we were afraid of hawks, somehow they would know that, and they would come. You know, if we weren't really capable of building a blazing fireplace and then going and leaving it, that's quite a dangerous thing to do. Not everybody would want to do that, but we can. It all depends upon being in this poise condition, this ability to reflect where we are in balance with the environment. Quite Libra-like, isn't it?